I made it. Oh, had to come around my new desk there to come over a video here. Okay, it's red shirt day, red saw day. I told you I was gonna strip this 2165 down, which I had already had down a little bit, so unfortunately I already got the carb off, starter off. But I just thought I'd show you the differences between a 2165 and a 365 Husky. What are all the differences? Well, let's have a look here. First thing, the starter is different. Has a lot more air volume through it. Yeah, all the screws are the same. Pulley's the same. Just the cover itself is taller and it gives you more airflow. Top cover is different. Unfortunately, they have a one-piece top cover. Two-piece works a little better. You can get your air filter off quicker just with your snaps, like the Husqvarna one, right? Just snap it off. Get out your air filter easier for maintenance. So that's kind of a bummer, but it still works fine. What else is different? Side cover. Side cover on the Husky. It's got no ribbing in here. Your basic nylon guide. Jonsered has some ribbing in here, which is nice to have the center of the crank in more line with this fin here, so it doesn't, when your chains come off, it doesn't flick your clip off of the sprocket holder, right? Yeah, pretty much similar though. They both will work on either saw. Handlebars are different. Handlebars in here is longer on the gas tank than the Husky. So the Husky ones won't quite fit on. You'd have to re-drill another hole up higher on it to fit a Husky handlebar on it. Yeah, so the gas tank's different. Handlebars, side cover, top cover, chain brake handle is different. This one's broken, probably should be replaced. I'll check with the customer. This one is a 2001 040052. That means in 2001 it was made, 4th month of the year, so April, number 52 off the line. So far I've just taken this muffler off, starter off, carb off. I want to get into taking it apart now and see if what's going on with it. I've already noticed at the end of the crankshaft here, this little shoulder's broken. And I remember talking to the customer months ago. I've sold him a used crank. So I'm going to put a used 372 crank in here, as well as new OEM bearings. Yes, plastic shield ones, gasket kit, a little O-ring for the crank sleeve, and new seals. And maybe a ring. But I'll look at the motor first, and then we're going to degree wheel it up when it's stock here, and then we'll do it when I've modified it, and I'll show you the difference what I do to these ones. Basically, I've already done this a million times with 365s and 372s, 371s, and other 2165s and 2172s as well. I've done pretty much every model, you know that. Yeah, no difference in the carburetor, same ignition. They came with the black ignition versus the blue, right? So it's a non-rev limiter ignition, and you'd want to run these saws when they're built nice. I run them about 14,000, you know, with no bar and chain on it. So you put the bar and chain on it, drops it a little bit, but that's a good RPM, I think, for these saws. And for years I've set them at that and had no issues with it. So looking it over though, yes, crankshaft's bad. Decompression button's missing. The dog is half broken, but the screws are all still good in it. Yeah, so overall it's not so bad. Okay, I already took a couple cylinder screws off. Let's take the other two off, then I'll show you the inside of it. So I don't know the history of this saw. Just a fella from out east has sent it to me, Eastern Canada. Todd Lynch. I can't remember what town he's from. I'm sure it tells me on the work order. Well, maybe let you know later there, Todd. Or you guys out there. Alrighty, so let's get her off. Still got a gasket under it. Pulse line was off as well. It's a one-ring piston like the old 365 non-X torque, and the original 371 had a one ring. These all came with one ring. It's in good shape. Intake has got a little bit of wear, not bad at all. Exhaust, there's a couple little lines, but really nothing at all. good shape. Cylinder bore looks perfect. Barely any carbon in the head. Barely any carbon on the piston either. It'd be nice to have hour meters on saws. I know some of the new ones you can download, the new M-Tronic and the Auto Tunes, and it'll tell you the hours the machines ran, which is pretty cool. And that's what they should go by on warranty. They should go on hours of a saw, right? So you know, like, okay, 2,000 hours of your warranty's up, instead of this 90-day thing that they used to have, because, you know, a guy only used it maybe 30 days in that 90 days and he had a fail. Or the hour meter wouldn't lie to you, right? Or, you know, guys, because a lot of guys say, oh, I only had it for 2 months. Well, they had it for 8 months, but when they bought it with the receipt, then as a dealer, you know that. So the time he bought it, his 90 days or his 1 year, whatever he had for warranty would be up, right? So you got to have a receipt to show that to a dealership for warranty for Husqvarna or Still. Okay, so yeah, that's in pretty good shape. Definitely worthy of walkerizing after I put the new crank and bearings and seals in it. And I was going to do a rip down of the case today, but I worked pretty hard yesterday, and this morning I did a few things. Had a buddy show up and had a good talk with him about some life and old logging days that we were together and fishing trips. It was a great visit with Doug Edwards. Anyway, so yeah, tomorrow I'm going to do the strip down of the case and crank after we time it. I'm going to put the dial indicator on it and the degree wheel, and we'll check our intake degrees, exhaust degrees, transfer degrees, our squish, and we'll even measure the ring. I'm going to put a new ring in it anyways, along with the other new parts that I'm putting into it. I did talked about something on Facebook the other day. Guys working on red saws, and I commented in there that jonsered had the first fuel injected saw, which they did back in the later 50s, I think it was. Never really went too far, but they did have one, and they also had a diesel saw in the 50s. I forget the name of it, but if you go to Mike Aker's Chainsaw Collector's Corner, you can look it up under jonsered Sweden, and it'll tell you all that history and the different models of the saws. Any saws you're looking for information like that, go to that website. It's very good. Mike did a great job with that website. So yeah, here we go. It's the red saw. Gonna get converted. But you know what? I just noticed something as well, actually. Look at this crankcase. One side is totally gleaming red, like brand new. And the other side is really dull finish, like it's been used a lot more. I definitely suspect someone has made one saw out of two, so this side might have been damaged, and they've replaced the one side off a newer saw and put it on, or one just wasn't barely used. This thing's definitely been ran with this crankcase because it's got dirt on each side, but definitely there's no way those are a matching crankcase set from the factory. Doesn't matter, you can match them like that. It's not the older saws on some models you couldn't really match two crankcases, but these you can, no problem. I've built many used saws with using one half of a crankcase from one and another half from the other one. So yeah, there you go. There's the 2165. You're gonna get a new crank and get a new life, and we'll be back out there cutting someone some fine firewood or doing some tree work or a little bit of falling. This will run a 28-inch bar, no problem. That's, you know, if you don't need to run a 28, don't. 20 is wicked on them. They'll have lots of chain speed. No problem there. Put an 8.2 sprocket on it. It'll zing up a little faster as well with the short bar. Anyways, there you go. Donny Walker's back, walking around, sitting on my stool here. Not really walking around, limping around, but you've seen that yesterday on my video. After I finish this one, I'm going to get on to doing a 395 rebuild. I'm going to take a friend of mine's right apart. His crankcase on the dog bolts both had inserts, and the inserts are still there, but now it's leaking oil, and it's got a hole in the back part where the chain cover goes on. The back where it fits in there, so the chain brake bands keep getting eaten up, and I'll show you that when we talk about the 395. Speaking of inserts for the crankcases and muffler bolts, I actually have both sizes here right now. I did a fix on a guy's kart engine on the weekend. This is a 6mm metal insert. They're kind of like key inserts, or I forget the brand of it, KD or something. But it's awesome. You drill it to a certain size, I think 11/32, and use a 10.125 tap. You can do muffler bolts on Huskies, on Stills. There's enough room to make it by drilling it. A lot of metal inserts, you got to take too much material out, and then you can't get the insert in. They're too big and fat. These ones are nice and skinny. They work well. So I have these in 6mm, and I also have in 5mm. And 5mm is the rest of all your screws on your saw, pretty much, right? Your dog bolts, your top cover bolts, your starter bolts, even your cylinder bolts. They're all 5mm. Every other screw on this saw is 5mm. Oh, I'm a liar. 2 4mm, carb bolt, and your brake handle bolt. There you go. 4, 5, and 6. Anyways, there you go. That's the 2165 we're going to get happening on for Todd Lynch, and looking forward to running it up and getting it back to him. I think he's been waiting a while, and he'll have a good saw when he gets back to him. Keep the saw into it, stick in the ash rubber road. Have a great day. End of summer here, they say, but you know, September's a really nice month in BC here, man. Today it's sunny, warm. I did have some jeans on earlier and a sweatshirt, but I got too hot about midday, so yeah, it's a good day. We usually have good Septembers here, one of my favorite months, actually. Good fishing. You know, it's not so hot, you can have a campfire, stuff like that. Anyways, have a great day. We'll catch you tomorrow with the next video of dialing it in with the degree wheel. Okay, bye now.